Okay, let's unpack this. In our deep dives, we often find ourselves exploring, well, fascinating, sometimes truly head-scratching topics that are circulating out there. Today, we're diving into something that initially sounds almost absurd, really. But our deep dive reveals some surprising layers of justification and context that the sources actually provide.
Yeah, what's truly insightful here isn't just that an everyday item like milk can become, a flashpoint for social and political debate. It's how easily something so common can be kind of co-opted or reinterpreted to symbolize these complex narratives, often leveraging existing societal issues like health disparities, for example. And that's really the core mystery we're unraveling today. This unexpected claim that milk is seen by some as a symbol of racism and white privilege.
Right. So our mission today is to dive straight into the sources that articulate this specific perspective. We've gathered material ranging from a California State University newspaper to various online articles, all discussing how this, let's say, surprising idea has taken root and kind of evolved. We'll be extracting the key points and, importantly, the stated justifications behind these claims, letting you, our listener, get a concise understanding of what's being said and, crucially, why these claims are being made, according to the sources.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really about understanding how certain ideas gain traction and the specific arguments used to support them. Our approach here is purely to explore the information provided to us. We're not taking sides or endorsing any particular viewpoint. We're just presenting the material as it exists in the sources we looked at.
Okay, and this is where the thread starts to unravel in some really unexpected ways.
Yeah.
It leads us to our first key source. Our journey begins at California State University, Long Beach,
Hmm.
specifically within their student newspaper, the D49er.
Yeah.
A staff writer there named Samantha Diaz wrote an article titled, Milk the New Symbol of Hate.
Hmm.
Now, Diaz starts her article, acknowledging what we all typically associate with milk, strong bones, those got milk ads, cereal, the usual stuff. But then she directly introduces this connection to racism or white nationalism.
Mhm.
And she recognizes straight away that many readers might struggle, understandably, to see that link.
Right, which brings up the important question. What exactly is the connection she's making, according to the article? Well, according to Diaz, as presented in our source, the argument isn't actually about the literal color of milk. Instead, it revolves around the fact that milk is heavily promoted as a primary food staple in America, yet up to 75% of African Americans are reportedly lactose intolerant.
Wow, 75%. That's a really significant portion of the population. So the argument is primarily about inclusivity within public health recommendations then. Is that the core idea?
That seems to be the initial thrust, yes. The source highlights that it's less about the literal color of milk itself and more about this perceived one-size-fits-all approach to dietary guidelines, an approach that might inadvertently overlook specific demographic needs and how that itself can be interpreted. To back this up, Diaz specifically cited a Mother Jones article from August 2016. The title was, Are the U.S. Dietary Guidelines on Milk Racist?
Okay, so that Mother Jones article cited by Diaz really digs into the federal government's dietary guidelines, the ones that urge adults to drink, 3 cups of milk daily, mostly for osteoporosis prevention. So what were its key insights, according to the reporting?
Well, the Mother Jones piece, as represented in Diaz's article, highlights a study suggesting that maybe most African American adults don't actually need that much milk, precisely because of the high rate of lactose intolerance. Now, the official guidelines do mention that people who are lactose intolerant can choose low lactose and lactose-free dietary products. That's acknowledged. But the Mother Jones piece apparently calls this whole blanket recommendation into question. It implies it doesn't adequately serve everyone and therefore could be seen as exclusionary. So the key insight here isn't just about, dietary science itself. It's about how these specific health disparities like lactose intolerance rates can be used to critique broader institutional practices, even seemingly neutral ones like federal dietary guidelines, and then how that critique evolves into a more symbolic political statement.
Okay, so the health data from Mother Jones lays out one part of the argument. But then the story of milk symbolism takes an even more surprising turn, doesn't it? It moves from this kind of scientific critique to more overt political statements. Our sources show this initial idea didn't just stay on college campuses. We see it echoed in another source, Mike.com, with a pretty striking statement. They wrote, Milk is the new creamy symbol of white racial purity in Donald Trump's America. Pretty strong language.
Very strong language. And it's quite fascinating how certain actions can then be sort of picked up and leveraged as evidence for claims like that. Our sources mention an IRL that's in real life event. It was described as a trolling prank. This apparently occurred at Shia LaBeouf's We Will Not Divide Us live stream protest, which was set up against Donald Trump. Individuals reportedly from the online community 4chan, which is known for its anonymous, often provocative, sort of trolling culture designed to get reactions, they allegedly brought jugs of milk to this protest and openly declared it a symbol of white supremacy.
Okay, wait. So if it started out or was intended by them as a trolling prank, how did it end up being cited seriously? The source mentions liberal websites citing it. Were they just reporting the event, or were they interpreting the intent completely differently?
Well, that's a really crucial distinction, isn't it? The source we have specifically notes that, quote, liberal websites are actually citing this prank as, quote, evidence that milk is a symbol of white supremacy. It seems to imply that the action itself, regardless of whatever the original intent might have been prank or otherwise by the 4chan individuals, that action was then interpreted and repurposed within other narratives to support this broader claim about milk. It really reveals a lot about how online actions, even ones that might be performative or intended ironically, can be absorbed and validated or presented differently by various media ecosystems.
So we've really taken quite a journey here. We've traced how a seemingly innocuous, everyday item like milk can become loaded with these complex social and political ideas. We've tracked it from discussions about dietary guidelines and lactose intolerance rates in specific groups to its really unexpected appearance in protest actions fueled by online communities. And then finally into wider online discourse where it's adopted as this broader symbol.
Mm-hmm. And this really raises an important question for you, our listener, doesn't it? How do we navigate and understand these kinds of claims that transform everyday objects into symbols of much larger societal issues? What does this deep dive reveal about how diverse narratives get constructed, even around something as seemingly simple as a beverage? And maybe why understanding the stated justifications and the journey these narratives take is so crucial in the kind of information-rich world we live in today.